My mission to Germany has given me new insight into Albert Speer's involvement in both the Nazi war effort and the Holocaust. It's also exposed the many lies he told to escape the death penalty and whitewash his legacy. Now it's time for us to decide where he should sit in the hierarchy of evil. Using our unique system of playing cards, I want to know where Speer ranks in Hitler's Most Wanted.
One of the places I visited was the Nuremberg rally grounds, which Speer obviously designed. How important a moment was that for Speer?
It's hugely important. The scale and the scope of those rally grounds are also reflected in Speer's plans to remake Berlin into the world capital Germania. You see these plans for grandiose, monstrous buildings, and that shows this shared obsession that Speer and Hitler had of Germany as a power that would dominate the world.
His grandiose plans for developing Berlin lead to hundreds, thousands of Jews being thrown out of the German capital. Where do they end up? Being killed in concentration camps. The line between a Jew being murdered and Speer is a direct one.
In his memoirs, Speer denied being an anti-Semite and a true believer in Nazi ideals. But even if this was true, would it absolve him of his role in the Reich's crimes against humanity?
Of all the places I visited, the place that had the biggest impact on me was the Mittelwerk tunnels, where thousands of slave laborers were forced to build weapons for the Nazi war machine.
When you went to those tunnels, you saw what Speer didn't want you to see. Speer wanted the world to believe that he was a technocrat, that he was swept along by the currents of history, that he wanted to do his job, be an architect, and didn't have political impulses, didn't have political convictions, and didn't know about the atrocities that were going on.
In his roles as building inspector and armaments minister, Albert Speer caused the deaths of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people. Yet his carefully conceived lies convinced his accusers that he was an innocent man.
Speer would love to be remembered. He'd love to be remembered as the Nazi who was welcome at salons, the Nazi who didn't know what was going on, the cultured and cultivated Nazi. We have to dispense with all of that.
It sounds as though everything after 1945 is a falsehood, is a lie. Well, and that deflection of responsibility is psychologically important to be able to cope with the atrocities that one commits.
I think that actually Speer's lying and this presentation of seeming innocence after the war also helps Germany and a lot of Germans come to terms with what took place in Germany. It makes them feel, well, you know, if Speer is innocent, then the average German could also feel innocence.
We think of Joseph Goebbels, propaganda minister, as the greatest liar the world's ever known. He wasn't. Albert Speer was.
He was one of the very worst guys. And the fact that his deputy got hanged at Nuremberg and he didn't shows you quite what he got away with.
So now I'd like to come to a conclusion as to where we think he ranks in the Nazi hierarchy of evil. Guy?
Well, I'm putting him really high because it really annoys me that Speer has got away with it for all these decades. I'm going to give him a 6.
Anthony?
If you're talking about a militaristic regime and wars of aggression, the armaments minister has to rank high. Add to that his role in the Holocaust, and he's a 6.
I'm surprised, truthfully. I instinctively, from what I know and from the psychology of it, I would have ranked him lower, but I'll defer to the historians on this one.
I completely agree with you guys. I think that the myth that he created after the war has gone on for far too long, and he is definitely 6. Makes him the King of Hearts.
Albert Speer's deception is one of the most outrageous injustices to come out of World War II. For that, and the monstrous crimes he committed in the name of the Nazi regime, he ranks 6